Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about how America got involved in World War One. So this is really important when it comes to world history because America gets involved in World War One. We had talked about trench warfare, how awful and horrific that was, and it had been going that way for years and years and years, and nothing had happened. Both sides were like just stuck. It's called a stalemate when neither side could do anything. America is going to get involved and just roundhouse kick everybody and like win instantaneously. Like within a year of America getting involved, it is a full-on victory for the Allies, which is the side that America joins, and America just wrecks shop. Now, before World War II, whoo, America, all right, because America does show up and absolutely dominate this war. What's important to understand is that the reason America was able to do that is they'd been fighting for 3 years. They are exhausted, all the other countries. So before the war, America's about equal with all the other countries. But they're all completely like just exhausted when America shows up. So when America shows up, game over pretty quick. But today we're going to talk about how America 100% wanted to stay out of this war. Nope, not involved. To go time, all right? And how that happened relatively quickly. All right, so what I want to show you first here is we had talked about how awful trench warfare was. I want to show you this picture first today. To reiterate, this is how everybody was fighting. America not involved at this point, all right? So we're going to be around 1916, 1917 today. War started in 1914, been going on years. So if you notice, these are trenches here, all right? And this is no man's land where nobody should go. Trenches on both sides. If you notice, there's these trenches behind them that are already pre-dug. So, like, if you got overrun here, you could just fall back to these trenches. The way this was set up, it was, like, impossible to, like, really advance because they had already had stuff built behind them to fall back on. A lot of times people ask me, why didn't they just build like a tunnel underneath and blow it up? They did. They tried that. They tried it really often for a multitude of reasons. It was never successful. A lot of smart people got stuck in this dumb situation and couldn't figure it out. If we were stuck in the same situation today with the exact same technology they had, there is nothing else that you could have done at the time. All right. So today we're going to talk about, how America got involved. All right. So America's initial reaction, staying out of it. Our president in America is Woodrow Wilson. There's a lot of English people here. There's a lot of German people here. In no way, shape, or form do we want to get involved, because even if we did, since there's not really a bad guy here, there's just a bunch of stupid people doing stupid stuff. So we don't even know whose side we would have joined. Woodrow Wilson in 1916, so he was president in 1912. 1916, he runs for re-election. The middle of this war, America is not involved. This is his campaign slogan, all right, which is, first off, he wins in 1916 because he's like, I kept us out of the war. Everybody in America is very happy we're not in the war, all right? It's interesting because the next year we joined the war and everybody's happy about it. And there's a big reason why. So he has this idea of preparedness. He's like, hey, we're not getting involved in this war, but it's getting crazy over there, so we might as well make a big army just in case. Well, guess what happens when you create a big army? Militarism. You create something big and shiny that goes boom, you'll want to use it. Once we get a really dominant army, America's not really against it as much, as well as there's some drama that happens here here shortly. All right. So number 8, why would many Americans originally be conflicted on which side to join during the early stages of World War I? Because England and Germany are two of the big countries that are fighting in World War I. A lot of people in America are originally from England, and there's a lot of people in America from Germany. There's not really a side to pick because there's not good guys and bad guys at this point. They all just seem like a bunch of idiots that are fighting. That's getting ready to change. All right. So let me rock out this map here that we've talked about quite a bit so far. All right. I want to show you what is happening in Germany at this time. All right. So Germany spends almost all of their money. Let's move that map, cursor off me. Pretty much spends all their money on an army and very little on their navy. The reason why is because they don't have very good access to the ocean. So countries that don't have a lot of coastline usually don't spend a whole bunch of money on their Navy because it's not that much area to defend. And if you're looking at Germany, all right, if you notice, you're like, well, look at all of this coastline they have right here, all right? The problem with that is the only entrance and exit is right here. So even though they have all this coastline, it's real easy to blockade, so they don't really have nearly as much coastline for military purposes as you would think. So they do have a little bit of coastline right here, and they do have ports, but they don't spend a lot of money on their Navy. You know who does have a big Navy? England. All right, England has a huge Navy. England's an island. England always has a dominant Navy. So what happens is everybody that Germany is fighting, like Russia here, France here, all right, they've basically blockaded them on the side. So the only way Germany can get supplies in during the war is through the ocean, all right, which is this way. So the only way they can get supplies in is going around England, France to get to Germany. Well, here's what was happening that is not good which is not good for Germany. Why is that not stopping? Hold on one second. All right, so what England is doing is they are taking their substantial Navy because they're an island, and they are blockading Germany right here. All right. By doing this, they've completely shut off Germany from being able to get supplies in. So Germany has to find a way to stop England from doing this. So what Germany does is they invent submarines. All right. So at the time they're called U-boats, and I got a picture of them here. I'm pretty confident I do. So this is a German U-boat, all right? These things are small and they can mass produce them. What the goal here is to go underneath the British blockade where those ships are, go over to England and start attacking the coastline at England. By doing that, they're hoping to bring England from the blockade to come back and defend their own coast from these little buggers. Now, these right here, not very advanced. Basically, all the technology is they have a couple torpedoes in it and like a little periscope at the top. So what they do is when they're going across the water like this, they move at a rocketing 8 miles an hour. When they submerge, and they can go completely underwater for a short amount of time out of sight, they can move at a rocketing 5 miles an hour. They're not very fast at all. If a British ship or anything saw it, they could easily blow it up. So, so the goal is to go underneath it. They're not trying to go attack the battleships because that's like suicide for them. They're going to try to go past them, go attack the coast of England, and then just pull the blockade back. This actually starts working really effectively. England hates this because they're getting attacked on their home coast, and their ships aren't there to protect it because they're just sitting out here in the middle of the ocean. So England turns around and has to pull back, and very effectively, this helps lift the blockade for Germany. Alrighty. I'm kind of all over the place right here. Boop. That went on. All right. So, now the problem is England's very terrified. Sorry. Germany very terrified. I'm all over the place today. Reset. Germany is very concerned about accidentally ticking off America. America's trying to stay out of the war right now. So the last thing they want to do is accidentally sink an American ship. So Germany goes out of their way to let the American citizens know. Like they take out whole page ads in American newspapers saying, hey, America, look, we're in the middle of a war and we're sinking pretty much anything that we see right now out here in the ocean. We don't want to accidentally blow any of y'all up. Europe's a great place to visit. Just wait until after the war to come over here and visit. All right. Because Germany does not want to accidentally tick somebody off. The reason they don't really know what they're blowing up is because they have these U-boats. They have like a periscope that sticks out of the top of it. They don't know what they're blowing up. So they don't want to accidentally blow up a ship that they're not at war at because that would be bad. However, Americans tend to be Americans. And they decide, you know what we should do now in the middle of a massive war, which is called the Great War? We should take a vacation. We should take a cruise in the middle of a war zone. All right, 127 of these people. And these people, this is the cruise ship that they're going to take. All right, the name of this ship is called the Lusitania. Now, if you're looking at this, you'll be like, I feel like I've seen that before. You may not have seen this one. You've probably seen the identical twin ship that is called the sister ship called the Titanic, which had already sank about 10 years before this. The iceberg. Yeah, there's enough room on the door. Anywho, so the Lusitania is a luxury cruise ship, all right? And it sails for England. So it flies an English flag, all right? So 127 Americans go to England, and they're going to get on this cruise ship and sail from England down to France in the middle of a war, flying an English flag. This is not smart, but the 127 Americans are like, it'll be fine. There's thousands of English people that are on it, but we'll focus, because it's about getting America involved in the war, the 127 Americans. So these 127 Americans get on the boat, and as the boat's getting ready to leave port, some English military people come over to the Lusitania and is like, hey, you're heading down to France? And they're like, yes, we are. It's a cruise. And they're like, okay, since you're heading there anyway, can we put some like machine guns, machine gun bullets, and these are called small arm munitions, on the bottom of the boat, so that since you're going there anyway, you can just take them for us. And the Lusitania is like, sure. Now, the reason I say all that is because it's important to understand, what flag is the Lusitania flying? They are flying the British flag. Since they are carrying military weapons, technically, by the rule of law, maritime law at the time, they are considered a military vessel. As this ship, this cruise ship, and everybody's partying on the way to France, guess what spots them? A German U-boat. A German U-boat surfaces, launches torpedoes, blows a hole in the side of the Lusitania, and it sinks, killing most of the people on board. Now, if you remember from the Titanic, why did so many people die? It wasn't that the water was cold, even though, yes, that was a big part of it. Why were they in the water? There weren't enough lifeboats. Lusitania apparently didn't fix that either. So a lot of these people didn't have enough lifeboats, and they all drowned. And like the Germans are like, oh, junk. Like, didn't really want to hit a cruise ship. Now, it looks really bad, but in the aftermath, the U-boat has no idea what they're sinking. They could have been sinking anything. But once they find out what had happened, technically, this is a military ship because they were carrying military supplies. It is flying the flag of a country they are officially at war with. However, all America sees is 127 Americans were killed by Germany. It makes a lot of people in America turn against Germany. They're like, dude, what are you doing? And Woodrow Wilson in America is furious at Germany. They're like, Germany, that is unacceptable. You will apologize right now. And Germany's like, okay, absolutely. Germany absolutely does apologize because they don't want America to get involved. They're like, hey, America, really, really sorry about that. We shouldn't have done that. Our apologies. Really feel bad about those 127 people we killed, not the other thousands that died. We're really concerned and really sorry, you know, and America's like, yeah. And if you don't want it to happen again, stop using your U-boats. You can no longer use unrestricted submarine warfare, which is Germany's term for just blowing up anything that they see. You can no longer do that, or America's going to get involved. So Germany's like, hey, absolutely, our bad, man. So Germany backs off. They stop using those U-boats, and they officially apologize to us. Everything's good, right? Well, that's where we're getting ready to get to. So number 9, how did America attack the Lusitania? So how did the attack on the Lusitania anger America? Because it killed Americans. That's obviously going to upset us. Now, what did President Woodrow Wilson require Germany to do afterwards? Afterwards, he makes them apologize and promise not to use their submarines again. Now, here's where it gets weird, all right? And I'll explain this picture here in a second. So Germany stops using their U-boats. Well, guess what happens to Germany? Immediately, England goes back and blockades them, and Germany can't get supplies in, and Germany starts starving to death. So here's how what Germany feels like their two options are. Number 1, you can start using U-boats again. If you start using U-boats again, there's a good chance that America is going to get involved, all right? Or you can not use U-boats, and then possibly starve to death. So like, oh, what are we going to do? And this guy in the back, he says, I got a third option. And they're like, all right, what is this? This guy's name is Zimmerman. All right. He's like, what if we could use our U-boats, sink whatever we wanted, and America wouldn't care? And they're like, how are you going to do that? He's like, what if America is at war with somebody else? And they're like, who's America going to go to war with? And this guy apparently has like a American history book here. He's like, I've been reading up. There's this country below America called Mexico. Mexico is pretty salty at America because America, all right, apparently has stolen like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California from Mexico. And Mexico's still a little grumpy about it, all right? So Mexico doesn't like America, all right? And this is what Germany's saying. And he's like, I bet we can go to Mexico and have them declare war on America. Now, everybody knows Mexico can't beat America one-on-one at the time. America is too advanced. However, Mexico can distract America long enough for us, Germany, because these are German people speaking, to take over everything here in Europe. And once we have secured, we can go and we can help out Mexico, and they can get back Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, all the stuff America stole from them. We can help them get that back. So Germany's like, yes, surely they would want to do this. So they send a message to Mexico, just like Mexico's oblivious to all this. Mexico wasn't part of this conversation. They send a message to them, and it's called the Zimmerman Note. That's why I said this guy's name was Zimmerman. The Zimmerman Note. They send this to him, and hold on 1 second. So they send this to him, and when they send it to him, they expect Mexico to be like, hey, absolutely, let's do it. And then they'll immediately turn around and attack America. Like, why would Mexico not do this? So as soon as Germany sends this telegram to Mexico, letting them know what the game plan is, without ever talking to Mexico in advance, they immediately just turn around and start using unrestricted submarine warfare, not caring if it ticks off America or not, because, hey, America's going to be preoccupied fighting Mexico. Now, here's what happens with the Zimmerman Note. It never makes it to Mexico. As it's like going across the telegraph waves, across the Atlantic to get there, whoosh, England, this is England, grabs it, intercepts it, and they're like, ooh. Now, if you're England, who do you show that to immediately? I would immediately just go run and show it to America. But England has a lot more patience than I do. They're like, let's hold on to this. They put it in their pocket, and they wait. So England goes back to using unrestricted submarine warfare. And America's like, all right, why y'all doing that? Like, y'all better not mess with any of our ships. So we just keep doing our thing. Germany keeps sinking anything they see. There's not a lot of American ships over there. Then they end up sinking the USS Sussex. It's an American cargo ship. Not nearly as famous as the Lusitania, even though the USS Sussex is a neutral American ship flying the American flag, but nobody dies when the Sussex is sank because they had enough lifeboats, and there weren't a bunch of people on board. But when the Sussex is sank, all right, America's like, all right, we done told you this is some bull, all right? And so they get there, we get all worked up and like go over to talk to Germany, and as we're like getting ready to go talk to Germany about this, England's like, oh, yeah, and this is a year later. England's like, oh, yeah, by the way, here you go. Germany was trying to get Mexico to declare war on you. That, combined with our current anger over the USS Sussex, puts America over the top. Everybody in America turns against Germany, and it is time to get involved. There is one issue, though, and it has to do with Russia. We're going to talk about that in a second. So, number 10, how did the Zimmerman Note force America closer to joining World War I? Because we realized that Germany is trying to get Mexico to attack us. Like, Germany is not our friend, and Germany is trying to manipulate the situation and cause a war in America. Once we realize they're being shady and they're trying to bring the war to us, it's go time. Once we realize they're trying to start a war, even if it's through Mexico, we realize that this is not something that we can avoid, and we're going to have to get involved. All right, so Russia. Russia has a czar. All right, he had it's like a king, more or less. It's spelled C-Z-A-R, like Khazar, but it's pronounced Czar. So I got a picture here. This might help the Russian Revolution. So before I talk about this picture, let me explain what's happening. Everybody's in trench warfare and it's miserable. Like 98% of the people in Russia are dirt poor. That's the people that are being forced to go fight in Russia. The super rich people, like the nobility basically, they want to fight so that they can get more land. The poor people are being forced to go fight and die, and they're tired of it. People have already been kind of grumpy with the Tsar and everything in Russia. So they say, we don't want to fight anymore. And the Tsar is like, you're going to keep fighting because I want cool stuff, which is what you would get if you win. So they're like, no, we want to stop fighting. He says, I ain't telling you again. You're going to keep fighting. This is going to lead to a revolution in Russia. They're like, no. No, 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 no. We are not going to keep fighting for you. Not only that, we think your time is up. So they'd had a czar for a really long time. But the people turn around and they rebel on their leader. And this is a painting of like the commoners in Russia. This is a picture of Tsar Nicholas II. Who is the czar in charge. They come and they're gonna burn it. He escapes, but a lot of his family that did not escape are executed like in the streets. It's a really brutal revolution. So they completely wipe out Tsar Nicholas II. So America, one of our hesitants of joining this war is we didn't like Tsar Nicholas II either. All right, because we're like, we don't want to join the side of a dictator because we would have to be on England, France, and Russia's side, the Allies. Well, once we realize that the Tsar has been kicked out, we're like, hey, this is going to be good, all right? Like, we don't have a problem here. It also looks like that Russia, all right, is going to create some type of republic government where it's like the people have control of society. We're like, this is great. This is wonderful. There's no reason for us to not get involved. So we're already salty at Germany. We're going to join the side of England, France, and Russia. And America hops into this war right at the very beginning of this thing that's called the Russian Revolution. Now, this is what's really important about the Russian Revolution. For a very short amount of time, Russia tried to have like a republic-style government, all right? Something a little closer to what America has, all right? And that's when we joined the war. We're like, great, no problem with Russia. However, that new government that lasts like 3 weeks, guess what they want to do? They want to keep fighting this war. That was the whole reason of this revolution is that people in Russia did not want to fight anymore. So they say, nah, said we weren't going to fight. So they drag all the people from that like republic style government out into the street. They all get executed. Then Russia turns around and creates a brand new style of government. It's a style of government called communism. All right. America's going to have a whole bunch of beef with communism really for the rest of this course as we're going to talk about it. So they become communist. All right. And the moment they become communist, the new communist government looks at Germany and says, Germany, we out. We ain't fighting you no more. Germany's like, you can't just quit. You got to give me a bunch of stuff if you're going to quit. And Russia's like, okay. The leader of Russia is a guy named Vladimir Lenin now. He says, okay, what you want? This catches Germany off guard because Germany and Russia hate each other. And Germany's like, we want all this land that would be called Poland and Czechoslovakia later on. And Russia's like, all right, there you go. You can have it. See ya. And Germany's like, oh, okay, that was easy. And Russia, after the Russian Revolution, when they become communist, back out of the war. They signed their own individual treaty with Germany called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Pretty much how it's pronounced. And Germany and Russia are done fighting. When Russia backs out of the war, we had just gotten involved. And we're like, really, Russia? Because we were going to attack them from both sides. Now Russia's out. We have to do like twice as much work now. So once the Russian Revolution happens, it actually makes it harder for America because now we have to do more work. And we're not big fans of it. So how did the Russian Revolution initially make America comfortable enough to join Russia during World War I? Because Russia had gotten rid of their bad government, right? Their czar, And we're like, hey, this is great. Nothing can be worse than their bad government. And then after we join, they end up becoming communist, which is a style of government that America is going to eventually really have an issue with. So that is how the Russian Revolution, had it not happened, we may not have joined because we didn't want to be on the side of the Tsar. But once they overthrew the Tsar, we were cool with joining. All right, that's as far as we're going to get today. See you guys tomorrow.